Welcome to another episode of Unpacking. Now, tonight we'll be delving into racism. We'll be discussing a lot of triggering topics. So, for our listeners at this current point in time, we understand the state of the world and how we view what racism is. So, we understand it may not be so easy to discuss some of these things that bothers even us as black people. Now, of course, racism is not only targeted at those who are of color, but for everyone. For instance, you have whites, Asians, all races that are targeted by racism. Now, for tonight, we'll be discussing the origins, slavery, the abolishment of same, the Black Lives Matter movement, and visibility. Now, of course, what we discuss here on Unpacking are not facts, but our own views at the given time. So we'll just delve into that and see how best we can bring about the best type of conversation to have a better understanding about the current state of the world and what is happening with racism. But of course, before we delve into it, we have to ask our lovely host, how are we feeling about that topic tonight, guys?
Feeling like we're running into a burning building.
Why a burning building? I don't get it. Is racism that inflammatory?
Yes, it is actually. Racism cause riots.
This is true, with fire as well. How about you, Josh? How are you feeling about racism?
Is it racism that causes fires or people that cause fires?
And that's such a Joshua response. Yeah.
He is going, but this is what I'm talking about. We talked about this. We understand that
is it truth?
We understand that it's not guns that kill people, it's people kill people. But y'all know what I mean.
I mean, he's still correct. So, how are you feeling about racism? Joshua, how do you feel about that?
Racism, not something that I've had to deal with personally. But I know of persons. Someone would have been, I wouldn't call him a friend, but I guess a friend of a friend or an acquaintance, would have been working in the States, went to a bar in Texas, I believe, and was beaten to sickness. And he went to the bar with someone who was supposedly a white friend of his, and I would want to think that person should have known he wouldn't have
that would have happened
in such an establishment. So it would have seemed a setup. In my estimation, could be very wrong, but he got quite a bruising. So I know that it exists, not just from what I see on television, but that it would have hit closer to home than just news or current affairs, Black Lives Matter movement. Because of course Jamaicans, we participate in protests as well. Whenever the US sneeze, we catch cold. So it does filter over, and we have a lot of Jamaicans living in the States. And racism is not just limited to the States, of course. However, the epicenter, where we know of and being so close to there, that's what we can reference easily. So discussion should be an interesting one.
Definitely. Well, of course, with that beginning, we're going to dive into the origins of slavery. Now, from what you guys have been taught, growing up, what has been the biggest history lesson as to what started, rather, not origins of slavery, origins of racism? Where do you believe that it definitely started? Would you think it started from slavery? Because most of us would have known racism. From my perspective, I learned that they started when the Africans were taken from their home country and brought to the Caribbean settlements and places overseas to work as slaves. I believe that is what started same, believing that they were lesser than whomever captured them to be, put into slavery and be worked down to nothing. What are some? How were you guys introduced to racism?
Oh yeah, it would form its origin for me and my social studies class. That it would have started there, where these people who were discovering the new world, as they would put it, going to people's lands that were already inhabited and claiming it as their own, and seeing persons who they would consider primitive, don't speak the same language and clothes as they are, and say, oh, they look so strong.
Mm-hmm.
Why not put them to work and not pay them, and to allow for and not have a guilty conscience? Why not lessen them? Why not say that they are less than humans? They are less than us.
But question though, to that point that you made about, why not do all of what you just said? Who gives person of other color or other race the right to say that black people are lesser than? The reason why I asked that question, because they are very unbalanced rapper known by Kanye West did say that slavery was a choice. Is this something that you believe is true or not true? Because from my standpoint, given the fact that we are, because I mean, I don't mean to say it this way, but I mean it's clear, it's quite clear. We do possess a lot of innate strength. We the type of people that we are genetically being genetically informed, we are able to withstand a lot of things that other races can't in terms of the conditions that we're put to work into. Can everyone here agree on that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. And that's the reason why we were definitely chosen to do whatever. So this is not about who is better.
I don't think that is the reason. I think that from the brutality that we had to endure came about a culture that would have built upon, because of course you found these people, they were like cavemen. You found them in the bushes, you found them hunting, living off the land, so naturally they were more in tune with the outside, right, as opposed to the white people, the Europeans. So, but going to what Sir West would have said regarding slavery being a choice, it depends on the perspective from which you take it, because we always have a choice, in the sense that you, as a slave, you have the option, work or die. You could have chosen death. I guess that's what he meant, because that would have been your only choice, being beaten to a pulp until you die, or go ahead and get to cotton picking, get to reaping the produce that you would have planted, and not get to eat of any of it.
But one thing to definitely delve into, and I heard all of what you said completely, and I agree with all those points, right? They do. You choose to do whatever you want, because ultimately everything that we do as humans is left up to a choice. Even if it's choosing to eat or choosing to breathe, it's left up to a choice. When you think about the fact that what could have happened in the beginning, because from his perspective, he's saying that we could have fought back from the get-go. We never had to wait a couple years for whatever reason. But there's a very interesting conversation about the fact that freedom comes with a choice as well. Because most of us were uneducated. We did not know, there's certain things we did not know how to operate within the society that was built around us. And as such, we felt comfortable being enslaved. Have you ever heard any notion like this, that this is the reason why slavery continued for as long as it did?
Well, I'm not a historian. I will not claim to be one. Would not have had the opportunity to do any extensive research on same. However, from my own perspective, you see, people always have a lot to say, yap off their mouths, and sometimes their opinion, because of the popularity that they have, whenever they speak, a lot of people listen. It's not necessarily true. Taking it to something more that everybody can relate to a little easier, in terms of domestic abuse, you would have a woman being there for years, being beaten, and then one day she get up and kill him, or one day she get up and decide to go to the station, and you will speak to these women and wanting to find out why it is that you had always had a choice, and they will tell you, well, I stayed because of the children, or I stayed because I had nowhere else to go, or I stayed because I was brainwashed, and until I met this one or that one, or I was watching this program, or I met Jesus, or something. Slaves, I wouldn't say that they didn't have formal education. This was the life that they were brought to. You were captured and taken, and note, you weren't captured by strangers, you know. Strangers carried you across the seas, but it was your own blood that captured you. A lot of people forget that. Black people put black people
I must say, honestly, I am so glad that we're able to discuss that here, because of course, Joshua, it is clear that you did your research, even if you said you did no research, because that is absolutely true. A big thing as to why racism has become as big as it is now, I think a lot of people who may be listening to this podcast forget that the difference between black people and other races is the fact, and it's just the fact. You can accept it if you don't want. If you should choose not to, that's up to you. We do not stand by our own. We only do so when it is fitting to do so, right? For instance, this BLM thing, I said extensively last year when it was taking place that sometimes we clamor for this because we want the attention. I think we discussed this even in the previous episode. We want this for attention for whatever reason, but we don't try to really get at the root cause of what it is to solve it, because while doing so, we're saying to our brethren that you can't be doing that because you're not qualified to do so, or whatever other reason of you putting him down. And that is something that the other races have realized within black people, that when it comes to fighting, we are more so to fight against ourselves than to stand by each other and stand up for whatever we believe is right. And I believe that particular folly in our race is exactly why people have been able to manipulate us the way they've been able to, because they're able to see what our weaknesses are and always use them against us, always. So I'm glad you brought up that point about the fact that we forget that it was black people that sold black people to slavery, because that is absolutely correct. Well, on that point of that, seeing that we realize we have that problem, do you believe that, and I mean, it could ruffle a couple of feathers, but do you believe that outcrying about BLM is the correct way to get this racism issue noticed? Do you believe that that is the antidote to fix the systemic racism that we have going on in the world right now? Do you believe that that is the antidote for that?
I mean, calling it out is one thing, you know. Mm-hmm. Publicly calling it out is one thing, but to say that it would be the antidote, oh.
So what do you think the antidote is? What type of approach do you think we can take as black people? Because
would there be an antidote though? I mean, really and truly,
I don't think there is an antidote, because it will exist. It will exist on some levels, right? It will always exist on some levels. However, to where it is at, because for instance, I am a fan of The Wire. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that TV show before. Of course, it centers around Baltimore, Maryland, you know, a predominantly black community and stuff like that, and we see how the black people are oppressed. Yes, I get that they're doing illegal stuff, but they're treated absolutely differently from persons who are of different skin color doing the same thing. And that's something definitely noticed all around the world when it comes to race division. Now, you're saying about an antidote. I understand that there are some persons who are particularly raised in such a way that they believe that no matter what you tell them on TV or whatever the case might want to be, from their great times 10 grandfather did not like a certain type of person, they believe it is up to them to carry on that tradition. And that is the reason why I believe that even though you may have the conversation with many persons about whatever, it will never completely change. However, there is some level of awareness that would need to be brought about in a fashion that people can understand that this cannot continue. Something as simple as us having a podcast. And I'm gonna say, if persons who were white made a podcast by the name of Unpacking, let's unpack that, it would be easier for them to get word out, even if we're talking about the very same thing, because what is white is easier, more fashion than what is black. And because of that, even though some black people may speak out about the issues they may be going through, it just seems to always be falling on deaf ears.
Right,
like so no one is really listening.
What I would say to that, you had asked if the Black Lives Matter movement is the
Mhm.
antidote. What I think, and I'm at the point that I really don't care if anyone agrees or disagrees.
I mean, it's our podcast. We
Um,
talk about whatever we
no,
want.
the
If you don't like
reason
it, you
being
can click off the video.
is that I think in order for the Black Lives Matter movement to go anywhere forward in a real way, it will take white people as well. It will take Latinos, it will take Asians, it will take people of all races. Because here is the issue. When black people come together and hold placards, whether it is a peaceful protest or they're being boisterous and burning tires, it is met by men in blue with tear gas. It doesn't matter if you are well dressed or you are in your birthday suit parading the roads. We have seen it. Peaceful protests end with people in hospital, with persons getting rubber bullets fired at them, with tear gas canisters being released. But had there been white people in the midst, your white senators and representatives in Congress being out there with you and standing in solidarity to say all lives matter, yes, but black lives aren't being treated equally, then nothing is really going to change. You're going to hear the outcry for a little bit, the surge, when somebody else is killed at the hands of police, and then it dies down after a while. It was lovely to hear the verdict that would have come out from the George Floyd case. Absolutely wonderful.
I mean, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But I don't. For me, from my perspective, I don't think that's particularly justice. I think it's just someone being held accountable. That does not fix the problem. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't fix the problem.
It just puts a band-aid on a bigger cut.
And I don't even think that is a band-aid either. No. I really don't think that's a band-aid. I just think that it's cleansing the wound so as to right now contain it for a bit.
But really cleansing the wound with that? I mean, the wound is constantly being opened over and over and over again. I really think that's just...
it was ever closed.
You getting a gunshot, going to the hospital, and the doctor's looking at you and saying, "All right, hush."
No, we have to call it for what it is. In terms of all the other cases, Breonna Taylor and all the other people who would have been killed, and the verdict came back not guilty. So even if it's the lesser charge that he would have been guilty on, and I think when it read all three charges, everything was guilty. And it was a jury not just of people of our complexion, but also people of his complexion. And it was a jury of their peers. I would imagine that he probably soiled his pants, not expecting to have gone in there and not come out, with a not guilty.
But even with that said, Joshua, about him being shocked, why are you shocked? Why are you actually shocked?
No, you are
shocked.
You not
aware of what you did?
No. It's not about being aware.
No, shocked because he was quite confident he would have gotten away.
And I don't think even confidence.
That's what I'm saying to you.
It becomes an expectation.
It was confidence that he would get away because at that point in time, even to the point when the judge asked him, "Is there anything you'd like to say?" He decided to just not speak. He was quite content. No, he could have said anything at that point in time. An apology, anything at that point in time.
The fact of the matter, I'd say it wasn't wrong.
You see, that's the problem right there.
No, but it's all right. Take a child and a parent. You get away with murder all this time. You're being spoiled. You're getting away with murder, and then you do the same thing, but it's met by a slap. Not a very, it was a quick one, not a deliberate kind of, I'm going to give you some decent beating, maybe one out of frustration. I think that's what happened. there was a response to an outcry that has been taking place.
All right, so we've been discussing here about racism and what's been happening in the world and different type of cultures, and you were mentioning about how in order for this to be seen by everyone, a lot of persons need to join on board in terms of Asian people, Latino people, and also white people. But it is so funny you mentioned that before about the fact that those persons need to join in, even though they're just they may not be to the same degree, but Latinos and Asian people are just as oppressed as we are. It just may not be within the same way where they're literally being singled out and being sought after like they're criminals.
Well, especially with the coronavirus, Asian people have gotten it.
Right. I've definitely felt the complete xenophobic bruise against, the former Trump, whatever his name is. Now, you were mentioning before about how when people are peacefully protesting, and it's normally met with rubber bullets and tear gas and all that. Now, our lovely listeners have been listening from the very first episode. Our very first episode was on the insurrection of the Capitol, January 6th. You can listen to this video. Above this video, it's in the link or the description below. You can listen to that. Now, you were saying about the fact that most times when we peacefully protest, we're met with that level of violence. We did speak about it in that episode also. Had those people been black, they would have definitely been met with violence because they were able to do a lot. They were able
the response time would have been significantly less in terms of the police getting on site and gunshots being fired and people bleeding out on the lawn, and then you hear that we would have been we were asking for it. When black people kill black people, you hear that it's tribal warfare, right? When white people kill black people, it's ethnic cleansing, right? That
it's
is
what?
Ethnic cleansing. That's how
ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, it seems that way. It really seems that way.
About these statements being made, about white people versus black people and all this, right? It is so funny that we're talking about this right now, and people were up in arms about BLM, and of course BLM took place last year. The insurrection took place earlier this year, right? I think Black Lives Matter was around June, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's around when it was. Not entirely sure of the month, but I don't think that was the biggest display of racism. I really don't think it was, because come on, black people get killed every day for the same thing. One probably was just killed right now, but I think for what happened on January 6th, I believe that was one of the biggest. What? Not, I think it's the truth.
No, I'm saying I just don't like the fact that he said one could be killed right now. I just don't like the fact
one
that
could be killed.
No, but it is the truth.
I understand.
Here's
another
fact.
Sad.
Here's another fact.
It is the truth.
We skip over, and probably I'm gonna say this, and I believe in it. I really believe in it. If we black people respected and honor each other's lives more, then people of other races will, until we stop the bloodletting and the killing of each other over simple things. Boy stop boy over dumpling or $20, or because him telling about him mama.
Right.
Things like no.
These are
nothing at all.
These are facts.
Nothing at all.
I know. It is fact. It is fact. It is definitely fact, and he is right.
And this does go back to what I was saying before about the fact that we do not stand together at all. We're always divided, and people are aware of that, and that's exactly why they use that against us. If you don't respect yourself, how do you expect people to respect you? And I've always said that if we do not respect ourselves, because it is something very prevalent, we know this. Like out of the blue, you'll have us there leading, and let's say we were leading on the insurrection, right? And somebody would say to the audience, "All of you dumb people, back the hell up." Okay, so first of all, I'm Harvard educated. Get it right, okay? I know some of these people may have not had a college degree, but I have one. There is no need to do that. There is just no need to do that. And even if that person doesn't say it, then within the insurrection, they would have said it on TV when they're being interviewed. And that is one of the reasons why that's meant very few reasons in how we decide to separate ourselves from each other, believing that because we have certain opportunities that were offered to us, we are better than our brethren. And again, people do notice that. I'm sure all white people do not believe that they're on the same level. I mean, they call each other white trash for crying out loud. However, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, they are not divided. Not in that way. We are divided on a very, very, very big foundating way. We are. And that is particularly why most of what we do, doing things like separating ourselves in the face of danger in that way, and that's particularly why other races, do pick on us to make fun and do things to us, because they're well aware that instead of lifting each other up, we are known for tearing each other down. But I was saying before about the fact that the Black Lives Matter movement is seen to most countries and of course the world as the biggest movement of what was happening from a racial injustice. And I really don't think that's the biggest one. Like I was saying, I think in my opinion, the fact that people that were not of color were able to storm the Capitol in that way, and most of which got away scot-free with their lives to sit and speak with their grandchildren about what they did that day, that was the greatest injustice I've ever seen. It is. Because I know for a fact, had those been people of color, they would have all been dead. And I think people do know that. They would have all been dead. It would have just been used as an excuse to say, this is why we killed them. Yeah.
Which is why I was going to interject earlier when you said that if we were leading an insurrection, we would not be here at this point in time to make this podcast.
Yeah.
We would definitely be 6 feet under.
We'd be looked on as a different kind of pariah. And it would just be another reason why we must be kept in cages.
I would not have been there. And if I were there, I wouldn't be at the Capitol building. I would have been where Trump was, trying to do something to him. I wouldn't be on the, trying to get into the Capitol, because if you really think of it, if there was no more Trump, then the issue at hand would be non-existent.
Right.
So, anyway,
but people don't assassinate presidents anymore.
Let's not sink into that level of CIDE. Let's not jump on that bandwagon right there.
Yeah.
But
I'm
like
just saying,
we're discussing.
We have grown. People don't assassinate presidents anymore. The last assassination of a president.
I would no. Okay, so for that, Alex, I won't agree to that, because the former president that was sitting down had almost 56 assassination attempts. So I think what you want to say is there's been no successful assassination.
And those that we are aware of.
That. There are no successful assassination attempts of presidents, right?
Right.
The most recently successful attempt would be someone throwing a shoe at George W. Bush.
Alex, you and I know that I am a very, very persistent person. I go after what I want relentlessly. So if I were in the United States, a citizen of that great country, and thought it that the president, the former president, should not continue breathing, then I would have ensured that I have the proper training, all the necessities, and execute the task to the best of my ability, not stopping until I have completed same. So it would have been either he died and I died after, or I died before him, or he died and I live. I think I prefer the latter.
I don't think the latter can happen though.
Well, one can only dream.
One can only dream, but the latter can happen if you.
I mean, it is the land of dreams.
It's not even about the land of dreams. If he's assassinated the commander-in-chief, he has to be put to death. The only way he can live is if he...
Let us move on, Mr. Biden would have given me a presidential pardon, not to worry. Because I would have been doing the US a great service.
Guys,
I would have been made a national hero.
I mean, I think there would be a whole movement.
They would print my black face.
There would be a whole movement for him.
Bill.
Honestly, there would be a movement. Free Joshua.
Did you just come and
can you imagine that? Slim down. Can you imagine his face on a what type of dollar bill now? They have a $30 bill? I think it's
100.
what,
I would have to. No.
100.
Hello. If I am going to kill the president, I must be on the $100 bill, the highest bill. Are you crazy? Don't create any. I must be on the $100 bill.
Come on, Benjamin Franklin does look good on that bill, but come on.
That is Benjamin Franklin problem. Everyone can be replaced.
This is very true. Absolutely true. But of course, the last topic that we have here is visibility. We use our podcast here to really raise awareness about a lot of issues that we have here going on, whether in our country or around the world. We do understand that people who may be listening in, it is up to them to spread the word for us to have a better outcome and outreach from what we discuss here on Unpacking. Us as black people, for many years, many centuries, have been held under the upheaval of white people, and it's happening even to today. The only way this can be properly rectified is if we use our voices for good and not just to clamor and make noise. One major reason as to why we have been always overlooked is because of our behavior towards each other and not necessarily towards other races. If we do understand that we want to make a change here, if we as a people decide that we want to, we have to first understand this, that no man is greater than the other, and that when we all die, we all go to the same place. And with that being said, if you are someone you know has ways in which they can make, this racism topic more visible, you can always chime in the comment section. We would definitely well intrigued about that, to look more into it and discuss more on this. Now, racism is not something that will be going away anytime soon, not by a long shot. And it would only take us actually actioning what we say we are going to do and put them into place to actually make any form of difference. I know that my fellow hosts here probably feel the same way, but I'll give them a chance to answer. How do you feel about doing that, guys? Do you feel about, pushing the narrative to make more awareness on this? How do you guys feel about doing that?
Yeah, that's one thing, but I think another is we should stop elevating white people above ourselves. Because it's one thing to be put down by them, and I'm not speaking in general, because not all white people are racist.
Right.
So let's just get that very clear. And there are actually some black people who are actually racist against white people when white people are racist against them. So it's a two-way street. We always, when we talk about racism, focus on whites against black, but we do have black against whites, and we have black against black.
We're just discussing what is most oppressed, but definitely it does exist. You have some black people that don't like Asians, you have some black people that don't like Latinos, and the same thing goes right now.
Can you not?
No, we're not talking about it in a sexual way. No bother with the food.
I wasn't saying that.
We know that's where you're coming. No. You don't even bother try and slide at it.
Not
right?
where I'm coming from, it's where I would want to be coming to.
Oh, is this where you want to go to? Okay, I see.
But I mean, if we're gonna go there, I mean, listen, it might ruffle a couple feathers, but black people do have the sexiest people on earth. Come on, I mean, it's a fact.
I wouldn't know otherwise, because I've only been with people of African descent. So I wouldn't know.
I wonder why you chose that, though.
I've never.
Why
I chose that? I had absolutely no choice in the matter. You gave me an Asian friend. Did you give me an Asian friend or a Spanish friend?
More than.
Did you give me somebody from Afghanistan to get married to?
They just want to hear your accent. They just want to hear that accent, and they are dismissed. Believe me when I say that to you.
And when I get blown up or get some kind of funny food that run my belly for weeks or that. Huh?
They are not like that. Stop it.
You don't. I wonder
what episode is this?
Syndrome. So
they are
anything
very
outside of
loving
Jamaican
women.
food, I have a problem with digesting. So it's alright. I will stick with my black people.
Wait.
I wonder why. Because you see,
he said anything outside of Jamaican food, he has a problem with digesting. First off, I don't want to pick that entire sentence apart, but
we're talking about racism. Let us not get into
let me just remind you.
of my life. Right?
Burger King and KFC are not Jamaican.
No. You hold on.
No, but listen, but Joshua,
wait. Let me answer him, Ryan. Because let's talk specifically about KFC, right? I have been to Grenada. I have had the opportunity to be in Trinidad. We had KFC from both those countries, right? And it tastes absolutely different, totally different. You have Americans who eat the Colonel's chicken over there, and when they come here, they say,
talking about the taste, you know.
The hell?
I'm just saying it's not Jamaican.
Spices, no, bother with the foolishness now. The spices are different, right? So don't try and come and debunk what I have said. I've said what I said, and I will stand firm in it. We use different spice. We use a different thing. It tastes totally different. Even the chicken, come on, it's not American chicken. It's Jamaican chicken. They think they import the chicken just for KFC? Where do you think
that would be too expensive.
No,
that would be too expensive.
CB. No. Jamaican chicken.
You see, no, it's Caribbean broilers. It's definitely
and it's Jamaican chicken with a Jamaican accent, not the American chicken that they pour much steroids and something.
So I really want to know. At this point, I want to know how does a Jamaican chicken speak. But let's not get into that.
I will find one and record it.
Yes, man.
You can hear it. Different. when you want to tell him to go around or to move, stop playing with the dog. Them the yard forward where you have to put nail in a pot. So that's the chicken that I eat. So where?
I'm gonna lose here.
Hey, you always want to come and argue with me. Last week.
Wait, Joshua, hold on. You said nail in a pot. How does that work?
How does it nail? Yeah, then man, that tough, the bone tough. You have to soft me. Come on, fellas. You need to grow with your grandson.
It's true. It's a sensible of tough bone. I hope I got that right.
Yeah.
I hope I got that right. But yeah, to Joshua's point about us needing to, stop allowing other races to oppress us and make us feel lesser.
Elevating them above ourselves.
Exactly. Stop elevating them. We need to uplift ourselves. Allow for ourselves to understand.
On a note of that, to say to uplift ourselves, I think everybody should really look at it. Why do white people try to oppress black people so much?
Yes. I know where you're gonna get at, and what I will say is that, listen, we are here to discuss what racism is. This is not about to pit who is better than whatever. And I know for a fact that going from the first statement we made about why were we selected to be slaves, I think that's probably the same direction you're probably going to go in right now. But what we can ultimately say is this, right?
No. That's why I'm not going to answer the question, I'm just going to leave that in the air, right?
Okay, right. Okay, fine. Good. So leave it right there. Yeah, man.
Let it sit with the view. Let it sit with all the viewers so that they can think.
Right. They can figure it out for themselves, because we are definitely worth it. We absolutely are. We are capable of doing anything any other race can do, and even more. Not in that order. You get what I'm saying, right?
We have such great runners, such beautiful models.
We have such great everything. We have such great everything. We have such great everything, because at the
we
end
don't have great roads though.
Beneath. Yeah, we definitely don't have great
I was reminded of that earlier today. The roads are atrocious.
But beneath the skin color, we are all humans. All of us are humans. And there is no need for us to believe that we are better and are worse than the other. Whether our deficiencies or disabilities, we are all on the very same level. What was that?
Never mind.
Talk up, man. Talk up.
He's speaking about extraterrestrials. But I think that's an entirely other different story with an entirely different race. And I don't think we're racist against them. Even though I don't think as Earthlings, as they call us, I don't think we'd want to meet a foreign force, because I believe if there's a foreign force out there, before they could get to talk to us, the US would have already angered them. I'm positive of it. Positive. They would have already tried to capture something to do with them, and they would have already been pissed off enough to seek our destruction. So, yeah. Not really so keen on looking for aliens at all. UFO is not my thing.
Elon Musk seems to want to find them though. I wish him.
Elon Musk seems to want to become a trillionaire before Jeff Bezos. I think that's really what this game is about. He wants to colonize Mars.
I don't think so. I think Elon's success just the monetary appreciation.
It's just a byproduct. That's what you think?
I really believe.
Yeah, I just think he's inquisitive.
Right. It's just a byproduct because he doesn't care really. He doesn't strike me as
he just wants to find something new to do.
Yeah, it doesn't. If the reason why I said what I said now, because I mean he's just ascending, like SpaceX, Tesla, etc. They're just ascending. They're just going and they're just going and they're just going. And with the rate that he's going at, he probably will be the first trillionaire, without a doubt. He probably will be, because I mean, if you're looking to colonize Mars, that's a different future for me already. And I'm a young man, you understand? I can look forward to those things.
No, you're not going anywhere. Hello, you're not.
You're not going to Mars. You're not going to Mars. You cannot be a Martian.
I mean, Joanna has more chance of going to Mars than you do. So don't come with "I'm a young man" leading with that. Don't bother with that.
Nobody is letting you on Mars with that beard. Nobody.
Just the beard alone.
Just the beard alone. Them are going to reject you.
Disqualified, guys. Cannot pass.
Well, I mean, all in all, you know, he's quite persistent for change and innovation, and I respect Elon Musk for that. And I'm pretty sure he'll be successful in whatever he's doing. It may just take a lot of time. Maybe by the time all of us are 40, we'd have definitely seen, you know, where that is headed to. But of course, as usual, this has been a lovely conversation here on Unpacking. If anyone had heard anything here on this particular episode that really stood out to them, please leave it in the comment section. We really appreciate that. And please do not at all forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video on all social media platforms. You can also check us out on Facebook. We have a page there too. And also Instagram and the Twitter handle. Just check us out in the description bar. You know, very nice time here. Hope you guys were in your nice bed listening to us. It was 9 o'clock now. That's quite decent. But from us here in the studio, from me, Josh, and Alex, thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of your night.